What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are doing good as always. Today we'll go over a puzzle that Magnus Carlsen couldn't solve. I was watching a video of his where he got this puzzle and he failed to find the correct solution. So today I'm making this video to go over the puzzle and the solution. I did something very similar to a puzzle that Hikaru Nakamura couldn't solve, so if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out. It'll be down below in the description. But let's go ahead with this puzzle. So you're playing as white, you need to find the best continuation, take some time, pause the video, and resume once you have it. Obviously, you're going to take a lot of time to think about this one. Magnus Carlsen couldn't solve it, so it definitely requires a lot of time to think. And once you think you have it, resume the video. I will go ahead and reveal the solution. It is queen takes the knight on d4. The queen recaptures, and now a very critical continuation, bishop to e6 check. If the king moves to b8, which is the first variation we'll look at, you have a knight to b5, not only attacking the queen, but also attacking the c7 pawn very heavily, and in general providing a lot of pressure on the king side. And this is really what wins you the game. This b5 move with the knight, it just reveals a lot of pressure on the king, and it's a very important, move to be able to play. Now, where do you go from here? Well, the queen really has to move, and if the queen moves to b6, this does not work because of bishop takes on c7. Here, the best move is for the queen to take, in which case you take the queen, you can add more pressure with the rook coming to c1, and in general, this is just completely winning for white. If instead the queen moves to a4, let's say, in this position, you still take the pawn, and after you have a forced mate in 9. It's a very beautiful mate. You take the rook, then you give a check, you give another check, you give another check with the discovery with the rook on c1, you give another check. So this is all forcing here, and you have checkmate regardless of what your opponent does. It's a very beautiful checkmate in 9. Let's go ahead and go back and look at what else black can do. We'll go ahead and now look at one final option for black, which is the best move according to the engine, queen to e5. Here, you don't even take the queen. Instead, you continue to add pressure with the rook to c7. And now, the best move is if queen takes on e6. Obviously, the queen has other moves, and if you're interested in looking at all the different variations, I definitely encourage you to open Lichess, maybe use an engine, or just try it yourself and figure out what can white do to continue applying pressure and continue getting that winning position. But we'll look at if the queen takes on e6, which is the best move. Here, you can take the pawn with this discovery on the king. The king obviously moves. Well, the king can move, but also the queen can block. According to the engine, the queen blocking is the best continuation. And again, if you're interested in the other options, definitely go ahead and plot it into Lichess. But here we have the queen moving to e5. You can take with the rook in this position, and you even end up with a fork. And if the king goes to c8, this is another mistake because now you can get your other rook involved. And in general, I mean, look at how beautiful this position is. You're paralyzing the knight. The knight can't move because then you lose the rook. The rook can't move because then you lose the knight. It's a beautiful position. You're up 3 pawns as well. Nothing to complain here. So this is really what happens in the case that the king moves to b8. What happens instead if the queen moves to d7 to try to block the check? Well, here you have the same move, knight to b5. And again, this is a very important move to play because this is the only way that you can supply enough pressure onto the king in order to take this, to take the gambit of the queen and turn it into a winning position. And so what happens here? Well, first we'll look at if the queen takes the bishop, which according to the engine is the best move. You can take the pawn, and we actually enter the exact same position. So once again, the king can move, but the best move is if the queen blocks. You can take, you end up with this fork, and identical to last time, we have this position where you end up paralyzing the knight and the rook, and you're in just a winning position. Instead, let's say the queen does not take, and we have king to b8. In this position, you can go ahead and you can take the pawn with the bishop, and now, after the queen takes, you can take again. And in this position, you can double your rooks. You have a beautiful attack. It can continue something like this. And this is definitely, obviously, you gambited your knight, but now you're winning back the bishop. So that was the idea. And again, the knight, the rook are both paralyzed. You have a beautiful position to continue the game. There's nothing to complain here. And so those are really the main variations that I looked at. Once again, there's so many places where black can deviate from the variations I looked at here. So I definitely recommend go ahead, either use an engine or by yourself, look at the variations you're interested in, but you'll come to the conclusion, whether you use an engine or not, that white is completely winning here and there's nothing that black can do. So that's the video I have for you today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this puzzle. If you did, make sure you guys subscribe for more videos like these. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.